Hey everyone, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Numenera. We are in the Kyrgen Slump, and we just got done talking to a few people here. We actually just got done talking to Orthfang, who ran off, who is an old friend of Alagurn's, and we learned some new things about him. So we have this... So basically his story is he discovered or was given some Numenera device he didn't understand, and the changing god, the previous owner of the body that we are going around in here, told him that he should activate it. He should figure out how it works. And so he activated it, and his entire village disappeared, like every person in it. And it also gave him these creepy, strange tattoos that give him special powers. And he just learned that of course, now that I say it like that, it seems pretty obvious, but he found out that the tattoos that he has are the people from the village.
Come on, let's get moving.
Hey, I'm telling him your story, Alagurn.
What do you need?
But, so,
Yes.
Anyway, we're gonna talk to Alagurn and find out more about that. Because we have the frame, so now we just need to figure out how to release his people.
I don't know how to thank you for your help with the frame, with the tattoos, with my family. I know I haven't been the easiest companion, or the most trusting. I hope now you know why I behaved as I did.
For the first time, the pain in Alagurn's eyes is gone. The tight lines that surround his mouth have loosened, and something that looks almost like hope struggles to creep into his expression. I wish we'd known sooner. I'd have stopped using the tattoos. If my family, my friends are damaged, I guess we'll see what happens. Fine, appreciate you asking. Which is funny, because I don't think he said that before. I could be wrong, but... let's see. Choo. Okay. So it sounds like maybe he will not use his tattoos anymore. Which, given the context, it probably makes a lot of sense. He's still got the power, though. Anyway. So let's see, who else do we have to talk to? We have these people, and there are some Kyrgens. We're ready to talk to some of those mercenaries. Oh, that's right, I think we're going to have to. I can make you handsome, so handsome, just let me cut your face. No, thank you. I like my face just where it is. Okay. My good sir, greetings, and welcome to our little operation. Oh my god. His long face suffuses with a smile at his joke. His sagging skin and dark bags under his eyes speak of a deep physical weariness, but his manner is bright and cheery. He wipes his nose on a filthy sleeve and extends his hand. My name is Dr. Demaray. His partner steps forward as well, and I'm Dr. Obervich. He extends his hand. It's probably best to grasp the top one. Like his partner, his face is long and seamed. Unlike his partner, each of his arms is bifurcated at the elbow, with a mechanical forearm and hand grafted to them. A multitude of prosthetic eyes are drilled into the top of his head. But where are our manners? How can we help you? Do you know of any way to restore the sight of someone without eyes? Without eyes? Were they destroyed or is it inherited? Was this a creature that has no visual cortex? It makes no matter, I can restore sight to any living creature. Any. We restore the blessing of sight, and with just a few minor side effects. Do you mean restoring sight and retaining independent nervous autonomy? That is, without scooping out portions of the brain? The subject would retain her faculties, yes.
Making a note.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I know only one procedure that meets the specific qualification that she retain all of her faculties, I'm afraid. It is long work, long, hard work, long, hard, expensive work. He glances at Obervich. One of Obervich's eyes should do it, but this cast-off, we cannot pass up this opportunity. It would require compensation worth more than coin. Perhaps if you found us an interesting test subject for investigation, we could consider a fair trade, and when I say perhaps and could, what I mean is that it would suffice. I see where Dr. Demaray is headed with this. He would make an excellent test subject. Let's see. What qualifications do you need for... fine. Would I qualify as an interesting test subject? Oh yes, so very much yes. We would be particularly interested in investigating this tattoo on your head. It seems reactive and strange. It is, but let's talk more about your test subjects. Expensive and time-consuming. Yeah. My friend, these eyes provide a valuable function for me, and they are not simple baubles to be handed out as favors. They are fixed to me and provide certain insights. He bobs his head quickly and nervously as if to belie his words, and one of them falls from his head. Blast. Very well, very well. You caught us in a slight embellishment, as one might expect from someone of your mental caliber. Did I not tell you that our friend's intellect was something to be admired? I did. We don't necessarily need a subject, I suppose, but I did not embroider the truth entire. This is an expensive item. To replace it would cost 280 shins. Here. He shakes his head sadly. Such a possible contribution to knowledge and learning lost. Now, that doesn't stop him from taking your money. I hope my esteemed colleague will cheer himself by thinking of how we can advance our research through the expenditure of these funds. I believe our guest is waiting for something.
I'll remember that.
What? Oh yes, my apologies. He reaches up to the profusion of eyes on his head and selects one seemingly at random. With a grimace, he works it free from his head. His scarred flesh flows around and fills the hole where it resided. Simply place this eye on the recipient's face, and it will do the rest. Easy. Still very creepy. So now I've got an eyeball. Obervich's eye. Okay. That was special.
On my way.
Kyurgen. Okay. Got some slump dwellers. Fine, we'll go talk to the Maw. Hello, Maw. What do you want? Darkened corner of the slump, surrounded by waving tendrils, is a knotted mass of bloom flesh. The flesh looks thick and old, and you can detect a jagged seam running across its surface with a faint light glinting from within. Whispering voice of the bloom chitter in your ears, and all other sounds fade into the distance. This is clearly another Maw, though it appears to be older than the others of its kind. Not only that, this Maw is familiar. You've confronted it before. Somehow you're certain that you've confronted this Maw before. A moment later, you correct yourself. You haven't confronted the Maw, but the changing god has, and in a different body. The memory glimmers half formed at the end of your consciousness. Let's go ahead and concentrate on the memory, and it begins to emerge. The changing god stands in front of the Kyurgen slump Maw, and you realize now that it is uncommonly old. He wears the body of a tall and powerful man, a glaive. From a leather case at his side, he draws a crystalline object, clasping it tightly in his hand. Its name leaps into your mind, the magmatic amulet. This is the artifact that you seek, and it was once possessed by your sire. You take careful note of the artifact so that you can describe and recognize it if need be. Suddenly, the whispering voices of the bloom are changed, as if the amulet is a prism through which they can be understood. It is impossible to translate the chitterings into words, but impressions begin to fill the changing god's mind. Hunger and expectation, and most of all, welcome. Your sire reaches forward a hand, and the Maw opens at a touch. Compelled by a bond he has forged in the depths of the bloom. He steps through the portal and is gone. The memory fades. Okay. Observe the behavior of the bloom tongues. They don't appear interested in you. Okay. Okay, so we know that. So it is seeking this guy here, or something special about him. And she told us that we can either get some essence of him and give it to somebody else, and then the mall will accept him as payment, or we can basically convince him to, I don't know, sacrifice himself. I mean, I know that the Maws don't technically kill whoever they accept as payment, but and then this guy's like, I don't know, they make it really clear that this guy's like kind of a junkie, and he would do it. He would actually volunteer to do it if you gave him enough stuff. But I don't know if taking advantage of, I mean, I don't like sacrificing people, even obnoxious mercenaries, and I'm not crazy about the idea of sacrificing a junkie. Not crazy about the idea of sacrificing anybody, but I don't know. So yes. We're gonna go head over and wait, am I going too far? Yeah, we're gonna go the old slave block and help that guy out. Yeah.
Here we go then.
Yep. Score of the Faceless. Hey there. Why do you return? What have you brought to poor Skura? I have an eye for you. Sweet sight returns. I welcome it, and the eye begins to burn into her flesh, extruding small legs that heat and twist as they burrow deeper into the meat and bone of her head. She claps the hands over the eye, instinctively scrabbling at the invasive device, and you recognize the titanic act of will it takes for her to let the eye do its work. Her trust in you must be great, or the need for vision desperate. So much pain, yet nothing compared to how I lost them. Does he speak true? After what seems like an eternity of her screams and moans, Skura pulls her hands from her disfigured face. She tilts her head up to you, and her mouth stretches into an involuntary smile of pure joy. You wave your hand in front of her face, and her eye tracks it naturally, cleanly. She throws her arms around you, sobbing with relief and happiness. I see, the lights, the shadows, the bloom. Never has this meat hell looked so wonderful. Meat hell is a good way to describe this place. It has rebuilt the entire structure. Amazing. More investigation required. Here, more trouble than it was worth.
I'll remember that.
Okay. What is it that we just got? A jar of iron wind. Made from opaque, battered metal, this jar looks like a repurposed cylinder. Just above its surface, a control panel is projected in the air, displaying enigmatic diagrams and text that indicate the status of its contents. The jar thrums with energy, seeming almost alive. According to Skura, the nano who gave you this jar, it contains a small part of the iron wind, dangerous nano spirits that warp and transform any matter they touch. Well, it took her eyes, if I remember correctly. I have no idea what the heck to do with it, but
I am the very soul of action.
Yes, you are, Ernest. Alrighty, so memory serves me correct. We still have one more place to explore. This Shrine of Chila. Although it seems like the mall we need to go to is this Kyurchin Slump one. So
Look out below! Above!
What do these guys sell?
Sideways!
Hang on. Let me see your wares. Did I already come back here and look at these? Sonic Blade. How does that compare to what Makita's got? So 4 physical damage and then max damage up to... No, that's... Actually, I think that might be what she was using before. Blood Globe. +1 speed edge. Nope. I think we're good.
Look out below! sideways.
Forward. Onward.
Okay. On to the Shrine of Chila. As I was saying, I think that Maw is, and the Kyurgeon Slump is where we need to go next. Which means we're going to have to figure out how to open it.
Something to do.
Which probably involves sacrificing somebody. So I guess we're going to have to look for the least bad option. In a shadowy corner of the shrine lurks an old woman, so tiny and unremarkable that she blends into the gloom. She's been watching you since you arrived, following you with bright, intense eyes. You notice that one of her arms is missing at the elbow. Greetings. The whispers told me you were coming, Castoff. They often do when someone they regard as interesting finds their way into the bloom. Did you come here with purpose? Do you know what this place is? You realize that this shrine does feel familiar, as if you, or perhaps the changing god, have been here before. Try to remember. Hey, look at that. No point spent. You scan the room, searching for anything that might seem familiar. A metallic gleam catches your eyes from the nearby slab of stone. It lies partly buried beneath a motley pile of offerings, but the unusual shape of the metal sparks a memory. He left that as an offering, your sire did, when he was here. You can almost feel the weight of the device in your hand. With a sudden, jarring clarity, you see the chamber as it was 40 years past, when the changing gods stood before a group of robed bloom cultists offering the device in trade for information. And in the corner, an elderly woman, bird-like with shining eyes, the woman you've just met, or someone much like her, was at the shrine then, too. He pored over every scroll, wanting to learn how Chila forged a friendship with the bloom, a bond that imposed no price upon her, or so he thought. And now here you are, in the shrine of Chila the Great, Chila's silver skin, Chila the bride of the hammer, and I am her observant speck. Can you tell me about Chila? Stories pass from one speck to the next. So many stories told by so many tongues, too many to hold in my head, but the bloom remembers, and it whispers in my ears to remember them. How'd she find her way to the bloom? Look up, 2 orphans climb the cliffs towards the manor high above. It belongs to a woman, the boss of sages and mistress of the bloom, she who killed their parents and took their birthright for herself. The girl is Chila, tall, broad-shouldered, and flamboyantly dressed, like a glittering gem in the dull stone of the cliffs. The boy is her brother, Shade, slender and quick, cowled in black. Through the unguarded window they climb, slipping into the garden beyond. There, at its heart, is an artifact, their birthright. She leans forward, so eager to see what is rightfully hers, but the ground turns slick and she falls, toppling into the garden close enough to the artifact that she can almost reach, but she's snared in a rainbow light, and a net of rainbow light. Shade watches from the shadows. He makes no move to help. Betrayed, led into the trap by her twin, but if she couldn't have the artifact, at least she could touch. As her finger brushes the artifact, it flares with brilliant light, and it's gone. But not gone, not really. It's part of Chila now, changing her slowly from within. She can sense the change, but she doesn't know what it means, not yet. Not as they lead her away. She's cast into the bloom as a slave, and there she meets me. But it wasn't really you, right? No, not me. It was another woman called Speck, my namesake. The insignificant Speck. That's who she was back then. What did she do to warrant so much respect? In the dark and the bleeding guts of the bloom, a score of young women crouch in a cell carved from the living flesh of the bloom. Who they were doesn't matter. They're slaves now, doomed to labor in the dark. One day someone new is brought to their cell and chained beside the small girl who calls herself the Speck. The new slave says that her name is Chila. Even in chains she meets the guard's eyes, and they look away. Already the bloom whispers in her ears. Chila places her hands upon its flesh and strikes a bargain. You owe us, Chila whispers to the bloom, for the slaves you've eaten, for the Speck's arm you've devoured. You owe us something in return. The flesh trembles beneath her hand and opens. Beyond is a chamber full of weapons. Chila picks a glowing hammer for herself, or maybe the bloom does. It fits her hand like it was made for her and never leaves her side again. Then we gather together and make our plan to escape. When we're all ready, Sheila starts hammering on the door to our cell. The guards come running and we fall upon them, cutting them down, tearing them apart. Then Sheila leads us from the prison and we pour into the market, gathering more and more slaves to her banner. We kill every master we can find. In the market we decide to make our stand. Sheila knows that her enemy, the boss of sages, the woman who killed her parents and turned her brother against her, can't ignore us. We form up into ragged lines. Then we hear her, the roar of the soldiers, the tread of heavy boots getting closer, closer. Noise, confusion. I stay by Sheila's side when the battle is joined. I try to guard her back, but she's struck, first by an arrow, then by a blade. Whenever they cut her flesh, silver scales grow over the wound, and she keeps on fighting. Sheila knows why. When she touched the artifact, her birthright, it became a part of her, changed her so that she cannot be killed. She smiles, raises her hammer, crushes the skull of every soldier that stands against her. A shadow passes overhead. It's her traitorous brother, Shade, soaring on wings of flesh and steel, come to kill her at last. He strikes her once, twice, and again. Each time, silver scales grow to cover the wound. Instead of growing weaker, Sheila grows stronger. She grabs him by the foot and smashes him into the ground, but instead of killing him, she speaks to him. It's a whisper, and I can't hear what she says, but Shade begins to weep. When she lets him go, he stays on the ground. The battle is won, and the enemy soldiers are running. Sheila goes to face the woman who killed her parents. I leave you with your life, she tells her, but not your name. Get out of here and never come back. That's where the story ends. Our enemy fled, and the bloom was ours. Sage's Cliff was ours. Sheila became the first Primavera. We ended the trade in slaves, and Sheila ruled Sages and all the lands around for half a century, until the bloom called her to its heart. What happened to Sheila's enemy, the boss of Sages? She was forgotten. Some of the slaves said they followed her, thinking to kill her, despite Sheila's promise of safe passage, but before they had a chance, she vanished. She escaped to another world or was eaten by the bloom. I prefer to think the latter. Oh. Sheila ended the trade in slaves, but now it's returned. In a different form, yes. The old slave-holding families bided their time for generations, marrying themselves into the new leading families of freed slaves. They found ways to justify slavery as a punishment for the wicked. So it is with the wealthy and powerful. They're more like bloom flesh than they care to admit. Stubborn, enduring, difficult to kill. Interesting. And who are these guys? Ragmen and bloom cultists. Get your face out of mine. Okay. Okay. That's an interesting place. Okay, so apparently I'm going to have to deal with this mall. So let me check our journal, make sure I'm not overlooking anything. Nope. Find a mall that leads to the Lost Anchorage. Yep. It's, Eridus. Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 quests and they're both the open malls. And I would rather just go ahead and do the least bad of the 2, so let's at least go to the one that probably will lead to the culmination of our main quest, or at least the next step. Okay, so why is this still there? Okay, so you said... Okay, what did you mean? Wait.
Action! Here I come!
Was it the apothecary that I talked to? No, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was actually her. let's try this again. Can you tell me what you do again? Tell me about yourself. Okay, I have many unique experiences. I provide the feeling of overwhelming another's mind with a wave of psychic energy. Sheen has heard of you, dominators and manipulators. Sheen offers essences and trade for those energies. Your offering lowers my prices. Does the traveler accept? Sure. Then step in with me. She reaches out for you and activates her apparatus. Her hand makes contact with you. Rainbow aura settles across both of you, and you feel a connection to her mind. Fleeting images of a grand palace arching over a river. A mad flight over polluted swamplands. A great aerial predators that swoop on unwary travelers in a grassland that seems to have no end. You feel a familiar twirl of tidal energies begin deep within you. As the machine continues to whir, you feel her insistent thoughts pushing at your mind. The tides curl around her. The shell of her mind compresses. Her body becomes a puppet of your will, dancing to your invisible strings. Her grasp on your arm tightens as she writhes and screams, but she lets it go on and on. Finally, with a shriek, she releases her grip on your arm and fumbles for a beaker. Semi-solid bloody tears spill from her eyes, great gouts of rich and putrid scabrous tissue. Gross. She retrieves them with the bottle, scraping the lip of the bottle up to her cheeks to ensure that she captures the essence completely. The apparatus winds down, and the rainbow glow fades. Let us never do that again. Browse the wares. The cost negligible. Okay, I was pretty sure that she was the one that told us what we could do with the maw. Let's find the maw that leads to the trade post. Okay. Well, let's see what she has to sell and see if maybe that has. That reminds me of what she said that she could do. Yeah, these are all just ciphers. Plus 60% on attacks and plus 20% critical hit chance on attacks. Yeah, let's go ahead and buy that and give it to Eridus. Okay, so I am still very certain that it was her that I talked to. But now when I talk to her, she doesn't tell me about yourself. From the clock hall of Kala, I hail superiority made flesh. The city of Sada Amidu, the house above the Endigil, saw my birth. My birthright to explore, to delve, to understand. Yet the Zealator in his wisdom with his implants told my family that my researches endangered me, reduced me from augur to mere human. Rather than suffer legal exile, I came to this place. I came. The bloom sought a piece of my mind, and so I took a piece of its, and from that connection comes my ability to draw essences. Clients seek me now, seek my knowledge. Care not whether my modifications endanger me. Bliss.
All right.
Okay. Hey. Let's see. He's a junkie that wants 200 shens.
It's a plan.
She won't talk to me anymore. So... Reynard, mercenary, or Taglio. Aw. Listen carefully to the Bloom's voices. Yeah, okay. Let's talk to Taglio. Let's see if we can convince him to... You again? Let's see. If you won't sacrifice yourself to the maw, Like, who would do that? Then I need a scrap of your hair or some of your blood. My precious skin has been scarred enough in the service of Castoffs, thank you very much. Wait a moment. You've been talking to Sheen, haven't you? About opening the maw? Is he so desperate that he'll sacrifice himself for the maw? No, someone else, certainly. Here you go. Anything else I can do to get you eaten? No. Oh, I can sacrifice myself. Maybe? Offer yourself to the bloom tongues? Don't. Hisses Makina as she realizes your intent, but it's too late. You edge forward, make no attempt to slap away the tendrils. One of them drifts towards you, brushing your arm, passing through your flesh with prickly, hot-cold sensation. Disinterested, it drifts away. You got lucky. It doesn't always turn out like that, not for everyone. Next maw might be different, not that you're going to listen to me. Fool, we're not invincible. Yes. Okay, so apparently I cannot do this myself. How about you? Okay, so I have a lock of Artalio's hair. Here. I have a hank of Artalio's hair. All well, all good. Give the hair to Sheen. She takes the hair from your hands and begins humming tunelessly and tonelessly as she manipulates the levers and bolts of the strange device. She inserts Artaglio's hair into it and it begins to glow. It pulses in regular time like a heartbeat, and she lays her hands along its side. As she touches it, the glow surrounds her as well and cycles through the kaleidoscope of colors into a spectrum you cannot name, but evokes a painful clarity of emotion. The riot of colors subsides, and the machine ceases to glow, but the colors still play about her hands. She raises them to her eyes. The colors pass within. In a few moments, she begins coughing, great heaving spasms that shake her fragile frame. She glances at you as she retches and holds up a single finger, telling you to wait. She snatches a small bottle from the countertop, and a stream of thin yellow gruel rockets from her mouth. She catches it expertly, not missing a drop, and rises from her hunched posture. Stand before the maw and quaff the essence of the soldier. If it desires him, you will serve in his place. Farewell.
All right.
Okay, so I probably could sacrifice the junkie, but I can just sacrifice myself as well. Let's do it. Probably regret this, but let's drink the essence. You uncork the bottle of thin yellow gruel. The smell that rises is vile beyond description, like rotting meat mixed with acid rank with fear. But underneath that fear is bolder, earthier smell, and you focus on that rather than the sharp scent. It makes the draft no easier to go down easier, though you still gag as it clings to your throat. The aftertaste is surprisingly not horrible. In fact, it's almost palatable. Actually, the aftertaste is becoming quite pleasant, bold, spicy, large. Your limbs tremble for a moment as a bout of fear shakes through you, adrenaline shorting your limbic system into a purely instinctive fight or flight, but that rush disappears, leaving behind a pleasant glow. Your head clouds, your vision tightens, a pressure building behind your eyes, not a painful pressure, but a feeling like you're about to cry, or laugh harder than you've ever laughed before. No, it's laughter. You can feel laughter welling within you. You snort as you consider what this means for Artaglio's legacy, deemed by most a coward dressing himself in the face of a brave man, but underneath is a man whose greatest pleasure is in his friends and doing great deeds for them. You suddenly understand that his fear is not for himself, but the idea that he can't protect his cohort. His memories burn themselves into your consciousness, and you're not quite sure where his ends and yours begin. You feel his mind and feelings jostling for space in your mind. The bloom tongues, which had been ignoring you until now, suddenly orient themselves in your direction. Okay, let's do this. Even before you step into the tongue's embrace, they are reaching towards you like the arms of a lover eager to receive you. In the next moment, they're all around you, stroking your arms and your head, passing through your flesh, and igniting a prickly, hot, cold sensation across your skull. Memories begin to rise in your consciousness, but they're not your memories, they belong to Artaglio. You see yourself leaping from the top of a gleaming metal cliff into a clear blue sea, while a sound like wailing voices echoes in your ears. You charge down a tunnel, screaming like a madman and brandishing a broken sword, slashing at slimy heads that emerge from all around you, and in spite of the danger, you're happy because you've got 30 shouting friends at your back and you've never felt so alive. You cling to the back of a winged creature behind its laughing female rider, and as she looks back at you, you're not sure if she's about to cut the cord that keeps you from falling off. Let's remain. A wild grin spreads across your face. The part of you that is Artaglio is enjoying these memories. Like everything else you've faced in your life, the tongues are nothing to fear. Why had you been so afraid? You're standing at attention in a dismal place, pounded into a dead gray muck by countless detonations and trooping feet. It stretches as far as your eyes can see. Your comrades are covered in the same gray muck. The life has gone out of them, and you know that you brought them into this, for nothing more than the promise of shins. Bloom tongues tighten their grip on your skull, becoming more solid, cracking your bones and tearing through the flesh of your scalp. More tendrils burst from the floor and grab hold of your legs. The part of you that is Artaglio begins to scream, and the sound comes out of your own mouth. All around you, the voices of the bloom grow louder, closer, burning in your ears, drowning out your thoughts. And you fall into darkness.
I'm faltering. I'm hurt.
Oh, do I get to go to the labyrinth? I do! That's good, I had things to do here. Unless I come back here and the Changing God is here. Which case, you know. No Spectre, there's Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, so we are back in the labyrinth. Construct inside of our mind. Oh, and there are Castoffs here. These are Castoffs, right? I think they might be. I might be wrong about that. Let's see. And we have Eridus that we need to talk to. Okay. But this seems like a good place to stop for now. So next time we will see what's going on in the labyrinth, and then maybe return back and see what happened. See if we open that maw or not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you soon. Take care.